Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures.
So moving on to another World Championship event, World Obstacle put on their second event in Costa Rica. They had their first try in Genk, Belgium last year. They had their second try this year. No shortage of issues. Some I don't want to put my finger on the scale too much. Whatever. What is everyone's thoughts on World Obstacle this year?
Hmm.
No comment?
Mhm.
I didn't go to either of them, so there's only so much that I can say as a person that didn't attend. It's just all the stories you hear about the issues on course, things not being finished, which we've experienced that at multiple races before, but the the way they weren't finished causing confusion. And this is not just from the elites either. We've heard about this stuff from the kids races, the young, not kids, but the
I know
really
we've heard about it
the
from the kids'
younger.
races
Was
where
it the
they were
kids
put
race?
in danger.
Well, the kids are the younger age groups, but there's so many stories that came out of it. It's just kind of hard to ignore.
It's hard
Agree.
for me to be objective, but I will try. And the only thing I'll say is there are a lot of situations with athletes that I respect, admire, and like very much, that feels very unfair. And they do not often get the opportunity to say, hey, I wasn't happy about this. This isn't okay. And the one thing I'll say, I think it made OCRWC great, was Adrian would beg for feedback. What did you think about the course? Was it a B? Was it a B minus? What would you change? What would you do differently? Rather than saying you are not allowed to say anything. And I can't tell you how many off the record conversations I've had with athletes who publicly say World Obstacle is incredible and behind the scenes go, ah, no, hate it. And yet people still go back. So, when we're talking about the East Coast for OCRWC and European athletes, there are a lot of European athletes that have aligned themselves. I don't know why, because it's not a competition with World Obstacle that won't come to OCRWC, and it's a shame. Um, they'll have a great event this next year because it's in Sweden, and Sweden will do a great job. But that's nothing to do with World Obstacle. And hopefully athletes will either stop turning up if it doesn't work for them, or it'll get better. I have no problem with competition. I have a problem with athletes being treated badly.
Real quick with leadership. You talk about Adrian. He was also never satisfied too, which felt made me feel bad for him on a personal level because he never, I don't think, could fully see and appreciate like how amazing it was because he was always so critical. But he was hungry and trying to better that event, and that is what made OCRWC so great. And I have seen nothing of the sort with the World Obstacle. They seem, I feel, very parasitic, taking credit for other events putting it on and taking uh, none of the blame when things go wrong, even if it was their fault. Think about how they, bankrupt Bokra. That was last year. We talked about that a little bit. All sorts of stuff happening, and yeah, they take all the credit and none of the blame.
I think the bit that they do well, and this is what people fall for, is they put on a good spectacle. So we saw the Dubai event with tons of branding. People love that. Like, we can all buy flags. Yeah, they cost money, so you avoid doing it so you can pay people better or pay more people, so that the obstacles can be built on time, so you can actually have a damn course to race on and not end up falling out with all your mates. But if you want flags, that's easy. Putting on a tough course and getting it done and making it safe, that's the hard bit. But people are impressed by the flags, so what can I say?
I think I'm one of the people who believe that federations can be a very good thing, that they can help the sport progress, that they can move along right. But I also am the belief, and I have experience with the federations, that rarely do the people with the motivation have the resources, and rarely with the people who have the resources have the motivation. The correct motivation. I think right now World Obstacle needs to stop trying to put on races. That's not their job.
Yeah.
If they want to be a governing body, what they need to do is recognize a race that exists. This is now the recognized world championship. Stop trying to put a race on because you can't fucking do it. That's not your job. You're no good at it. You're not a race company. You're supposed to be a governing body, not a race company. Two very different things. And I think they're lost as to what they are. And that's why they keep screwing up because at one time they want to be this, and then another time they want to be that. So like Scott says, or like Mike says, when they want to get the credit, we're doing it all. But when there's
Mm.
blame, no, we don't do that. That's not us. We're so leadership is a fine example, and I just think that right now you'll have the country's bodies that seem to be doing the yeoman work that want to have the good motivation, and then world obstacle with the questionable motivation. And that's where I just hopefully that can be rectified.
Yeah, and you talk about, leadership, and that was one thing I'm kind of glad that Ian Hosick has kind of taken over for,
Right.
heading out the USA OCR, because that was something that has been around, but you didn't really know about it until he kind of helped out, took the reins. I'm not exactly sure what his position there is, but they had that race in Dalton this year, and it didn't have a lot of attendance, but it looked like a very interesting race that y'all did there, Jason. I enjoyed watching it. It was very entertaining.
Yeah, plenty of issues with it being with a smaller group and obstacles not having enough lanes and stuff. But the people that were there, they still had those issues, but they still had a good race too. And I think same goes with OCRWC. Looking at OCRWC and Costa Rica FISO World Championships, they both had a lot of criticism. OCRWC had a lot of criticism from people that weren't there. FISO had a lot of criticism from people that were there racing. And that's why it's hard to ignore.